right, folks, grab a seat and pour your drink neat as Whiskers and Whiskeys presents Tales of the Trophies, Season 3, Episode 2. It's Mike. Yes, I apologize for missing Episode 1. Circumstances beyond my control. What can we say? But I'm back. EJ, how's it going, bud? Thanks for holding the fort down in my absence.
Yes, it is. It's going great. I mean, it's week 1 of college football. Got some real games on, and as we're recording, we have the big game on right now in the background of LSU and Florida State. So
we do. Yeah.
Good.
You saw the first LSU drive. I saw the first Florida State drive. LSU goal line stand, or Florida State had a goal line stand against LSU, stopped them. And then Florida State came down. Really, really nice drive. Offense was clicking. And then a really nice 40-yard touchdown by Keon Coleman, man. I tell you what, I would hate if he used to be on my team and then he was no longer on my team after seeing that 40-yarder. Whew, I'd be heated. I'd be like, wow, I missed that guy. You know what I mean? Could you imagine? That?
I could, and in most cases I would be upset, but when you just keep throwing the bag at someone and it just keeps not being enough, eventually that person just doesn't want to be there anymore. So you just kind of let them part their ways.
Okay. I don't really, I don't know what that means.
That just means, so he was a dual sport athlete, and originally committed to Kansas, and then realized that Kansas football was not back. Of course, now they kind of are, but this was before. And our great coach, Tom Izzo, said they'd give him a chance. He actually played in a couple of games. But every year since he was a true freshman, apparently people kept trying to poach him, and the Spartans just kept giving him more and more money until eventually he just
NIL was only wasn't a thing for his whole tenure there, right?
It's only 3 years, I'd say so. Yeah. It's been,
okay.
Yeah.
I thought you were insinuating that Michigan State would do something nefarious in terms of giving players. I couldn't imagine that. I'm clutching my pearls right now.
Yeah. But yeah, it's one of those things where it's just behind the scenes. I mean, it was fine. He left, and it stunk. Obviously, he would have been. He was a Big Ten all preseason, but
Fowler was actually saying that Florida State was his first choice, I guess, but he didn't want to go there because there was too much turmoil. And now things have settled down. And that's the reason he gives anyways. But
that makes sense. I'm not sure where he's from. He might be from.
I think he's from Florida.
Okay.
The way Fowler talked about it, it seemed like he was.
Oh, then at least we got some years out of him while he was Michigan State.
Go. Look at it that way. Yeah.
I don't harbor any ill will. I mean, would we love to have him? Yes, but we did our best.
He had a nice little move. Like he juked one defender and then just kind of shed another guy. It was really nice. It was really nice.
He never really got up to his potential at Michigan State either. Like, he was obviously great at high ball and possessions, but he had more athleticism that he didn't quite show, because we also had
tall fella.
Yeah. But the other receiver on their team makes him look short.
Yeah.
Got Johnny Wilson out there at 6'9". So
yeah, no, it's this is a good game so far. I mean, I've only seen a drive and a half. Tigers are driving right now, but overall, week 1 was the biggest game was Colorado TCU, the most exciting, I think. I mean, yeah, you can make a case for the Carolinas, but other than TCU Colorado, nothing. I didn't get to watch a ton of football yesterday, but it didn't seem like I missed anything too crazy.
No, I actually, on the flip side, got to watch a lot of football, which was great, and was good because of the research and stuff we did for the predictions. So it was kind of nice to see some of that come to fruition, or we obviously made, we made our predictions, and Colorado. I'm pretty sure I shat on them the entire season, and Prime came out and showed us that you need to put some respect
I feel like
on that
TCU
name.
I watched a fair amount of that. I feel like TCU had a lot of missed opportunity. Here's a Tiger touchdown. No, tackle at the 1, but still. No, I feel like TCU had a lot of missed opportunities in that game too.
For sure. And there, a lot of turnover, but it was just was Shedeur Sanders as good as people wanted to say?
Yes.
Was Travis Hunter going to actually play receiver and corner?
Dude, Shedeur Sanders looked Well, I was shocked. I
Yeah.
was really surprised. Like that kid can ball. Travis Hunter can ball too. I mean,
Yeah.
granted, a lot of TCU's replaced a lot of pieces on offense. They have a new offensive coordinator too. Like a lot of things that are changing, a lot of moving parts over there. But wow, no problem. I can't believe that these guys were playing for like in HBCUs last year. Like holy cow.
Yeah, I mean, the bottom line is they went on the road and won a game against a Power 5 opponent, and at least a solid one, even though they lost a lot of pieces. So that alone is an accomplishment as your first game, as a coach at a Power 5 level and stuff, and all these players playing. So, no, what other takeaways do you have? I actually have probably two things that stood out to me quickly before we get into our episode.
Fire away. Go ahead, pal.
One thing, so a lot of our predictions, we really kind of wrestled with some of these, we'll call them blue bloods and traditional powerhouses that were ushering in new quarterbacks. And the question was, some of them were inevitably going to work out. Some of them are not going to work out. So there was a couple notes that I noticed here. So one, Georgia. Didn't get to watch it, but 7-0 with 6 minutes left in the second quarter against UT Martin. Not great. Well, that tells me all I need to hear from that. Like they were up, I think maybe 14 at half. Like I know they pulled away, but that's
well, I have a thought. I have a thought on that, but go ahead.
So, I mean, I feel like that just kind of reinforced that. Not to say these guys aren't going to figure it out and they're not going to roll and be good, but like that. Maybe they aren't just automatically going to just be amazing. That maybe putting 25 players into the NFL the last 2 years might take a toll, a little bit of one.
Yep.
So
it certainly will. Yeah. I mean, that kind of goes into my, that kind of goes into one of my my main observation is that these games are going by fast now. Like Chip Kelly talked about, they're like, we got like 6 drives in the or 4 drives in the first half. He's honestly, like, I hope you guys are getting a ton of money from commercials because it's like.
But thank God, because college football, like baseball, was getting way too long, and it stinks because they just are replacing some of the gameplay with commercials. But I will tell you, I went to a game live a couple years ago at Spartan Stadium, and I remember it was like my dad and I looked at each other probably in like the third quarter and was like, when is this game going to end? It was just like, because every change of possession, even if it was a quick 3 and out and a punt, TV break. It was just like in the NFL, of course you have your time TV breaks, but if they're quick possessions, they'll run a couple in a row.
Yeah.
Not at college. It had to be hard stops and then all the clock stoppages and all this stuff. Honestly, I know it stinks because like it's an adjustment. If your team's behind, it might be harder to come back from behind because you don't have as much time. But I'm kind of for it, to be honest with you. I felt like these games were going a little too long.
I'm on the opposite side of it. I thought it was fine. I didn't have an issue with it, but like, I mean, I don't think it's gonna like. I mean, everyone has to deal with it, right? So
sure.
Just get over it. But
all right. So quickly, the only other 2 quarterbacks that I noticed and I was trying to pay attention to. So one I got to watch, the other one I didn't. So Ohio State only beat Indiana 23-3, which is. Something.
They always have a hard time when they go there, though. They always have a hard time when they go there.
This is a bad Indiana team. But again, I was just looking at McCord's numbers. And again, I didn't get to really watch it. But I mean, you're talking about like Marvin Harrison Jr., like all these star players played, and he had 18 yards. McCord had a pick and a touchdown and maybe like 230 yards. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't a lack. They kept those guys in all the way to the end because they're young, right? They need them to get experience. It's not like reps, they pull them. So that was, I mean, not surprising because I kind of felt like they might not be, really going to compete with Michigan, but it just kind of was interesting, right? Because you just don't know. And then I saw a quarterback on the flip side that I went like, wow, and that's Drew Aller at Penn State.
Oh,
I got to watch all of that game. I didn't realize he was a specimen at like 6'5", 240.
Massive Massive fella. Yeah.
Athletic as hell. But it
Yeah.
wasn't just that. It was his pocket awareness, his ability to like check down in the face of pressure and trust his reads. I don't know. I just kind of saw a kid that like looked like he already had the mental aspect down.
Yeah.
And
he would have
something, man.
he would have had a better night too. His receivers had some drops.
Yeah.
Like I think that he would have had a better night and he already had a very good night.
Yeah.
I feel like it would have been better if not for a couple drops. But yeah, they man, they look good, you know. They looked really good. I think that we might be onto something with that pick. You know, because we both agree that they're probably going to be, you know, they might not top Michigan, but they're going to be the second team coming out of the East. And yeah, I mean, if they keep playing like that, you know, if their only loss is Michigan, you know, who's not to keep them out of the playoff? And I mean, Ohio State, like, I will say this, that I feel like that the past couple of years they have started slow.
Sure.
So it might not be recent panic. Also, the past couple of years they've not finished at the top of the East, and you know, so maybe it's
not
it's
even
not
close, right?
Like,
it's not even like they were competitive in that
that
game they needed to be. So
right. So we'll see. Like I'm not overreacting to Ohio State. I do think you know, that they do start slow. They have trouble when they go to Indiana. The one quarterback that obviously I watched very closely was Jalen Milroe from Alabama. I thought, you know, he did good. Couple of like mistakes and stuff, but like kid looked good. Kid looked poised, calm. But the biggest takeaway from that game, which is like your hesitancy with Alabama, that offensive line looks really good. Like really, really strong offensive line. I think that's what's going to take to like Alabama's season still goes like as I mean, no shit. Like obviously it goes with the offensive line. You can say that for any team, but I think especially at Alabama, it makes a big difference. And yeah, I mean, I thought Miller looked good. Offensive line looked great. You know, there's some guys that, you know, are stepping up and stuff like that. You know, how much can you take away from Middle Tennessee? But you know, it was we'll see what happens next week.
You'll know,
Texas.
right? I mean that's it. And on the flip side with Texas, it looked where the defense was ready and great, but the offense it struggled a bit. So it'll be interesting just to see which units figure it out in a really high profile, exciting game, and you know, lots on the line for both teams because while you can lose this game, that's your only mulligan if you're looking to get to the playoffs. So no, it'll be I'm really excited to see that. And I don't want to overreact, although I think there should be all four teams in the playoff should be Pac-12 schools based on this weekend, but don't want to go too crazy here, but
Pac-12 did look good. I did. I was you're wearing an orange tank top for Detroit. I didn't know if you were going to cross it out and put like Jacquizz Rodgers or something on there, like you know, a big old beaver.
I'm all in. I'm all in on that.
They had a big win today. They covered. I bet them they covered. So
last bit here. Can we just say, do you remember how many points San Jose State scored today at home?
I saw the final.
It was 10. Do you want to know how much they scored on the road against, you know, the Heisman Trophy winner USC? That's going to be a 28 and a 28 meaningful point. So I don't want to overreact. However, that defense might still be horrific. So, but all right. So we are on to, like you had mentioned, episode 2. And today we are going to talk about the Bayou Bucket, which is a game played between the Houston Cougars and the Rice Owls. So I totally forgot to mention this in episode 1. I think you guys have noticed here that the first 2 trophies are involving brand new Big 12 schools. And that is because the Big 12 didn't have enough trophies to fill an entire season. And luckily, some of these newcomers have some really awesome trophies to bring to the table. Obviously, Keg and Nails is a classic one, so that was a good one to start off with, and this is another great one, but just to give everyone a heads up, I didn't the first week, but yes, we are including the current 4 that are new additions, so it's BYU, Central Florida, Houston, and Cincinnati. So All right, so why don't we get into some trivia? So last week I really put our guests through the ringer here with some really hard trivia questions related to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Well, they're
This
Louisville
time,
guys. I mean, not high
right?
bar, not high bar clear, but yeah.
So this time I at least added potential options for answers. That time I just made them straight up like give me the answers, which was difficult. I knew it would be, but I thought I'd give it a shot because I was hoping when I was putting it together that you would be a part of it, and between the three of you, you guys could get through it. But yeah, so this trivia, I mean, I don't know if listeners know this, but Houston, the University of Houston, is located in Houston, and Rice University is also located in Houston. So this trivia, it's all about H-Town. Are you ready?
I figured. I mean, I didn't even realize when the trophy being the Bayou bucket. I never really realized how close Houston is to the Bayou.
It is.
It's right there. It is right there, baby.
It's on that Gulf.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Why don't we? I got 5 questions here for you. Why don't we see how you do?
All right.
Number 1. Houston is home to the largest what in the world? Is it A, medical center, B, swamp, C, toothpick, D, cactus?
I'm gonna say toothpick. I don't know why that how you would have came up with that without like that's so out of left field. I'm gonna say toothpick.
You will be incorrect. It is home to the largest medical center in the world.
That's
Texas Medical Center.
I wouldn't have guessed that. I would have figured it'd be somewhere else. Somewhere in the Northeast. I would have guessed. But okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Number 2, Houston is home to the first what in the nation? A, first drinking fountain. B, first soccer field in the nation, mind you, in the U.S. Mm-hmm. C, Hindu temple. D, diner.
So I feel like drinking fountains would have been in the Northeast. Like that would be a northern thing.
You just love the Northeast when they first settled here.
I'm thinking of like how things develop, right, and how they come. So I'm thinking like one of the first metros. Soccer field. I'll come back to that. Hindu temple. I might play around with that one too. Diner. Probably not. Diner's very that's
Flavortown, USA is where there's the first time.
Right. Okay, so I'm between soccer field and Hindu temple because there are a lot of people coming from other areas to Houston. I'm gonna say Hindu temple.
And you would be correct.
There we go.
Constructed from 33,000 pieces of hand-carved Italian marble and Turkish limestone, the BAPS, sorry guys, Sri Swaminarayan Mandir of Houston was the first traditional Hindu mandir or temple in the U.S.
I'm going to try to get that spelling for you. I'm going to try to get that pronunciation. I'm going to give it
Sri Swaminarayan. I knew a Narayan. Swaminarayan?
All right, I can't even find it. Wait, here.
Sri
Swaminarayan. Swaminarayan, yeah.
There we go.
Sri Swaminarayan Mandir. Yep.
Uh-huh. Look at us.
There we go.
Look at us.
Nailed it. First try.
Number 3, Houston is the blank most populous city in the nation. Is it the 3rd most populous? Is the 4th, the 5th, or the 6th?
It's pretty hot populous. Okay. So what could be more populous than Houston? New York is probably more populous. LA is probably more populous. Chicago is probably more populous. So like Atlanta, where else it go? Give me 5. I'm gonna say
5.
Yeah.
You're wrong. but your logic is there. 4.
4. Okay. So what was it? Is it New York, LA, Chicago, and then Houston?
Correct.
I figured Atlanta. I figure Atlanta or someone else I wasn't thinking of might be over top of them.
I think they might be right below it.
Yeah.
I think you might have nailed the first 5. You just switched 4 and 5.
That's not too bad. That's not too bad.
Not at all. All right, number 4. Houston is home to Texas's largest what? Not saying something because Texas is, home.
Yeah, everything's big there.
It is. A, public transit system. B, movie theater. C, grocery store. D, shopping center.
Gosh, any one of these are good options. Give me movie theater.
A great guess. That is incorrect. Mm-hmm. It is home to the Texas's largest shopping center.
I was between shopping. I was actually thinking shopping center. I was like, that would be hard to like. Well, I guess not. No, sorry. I was actually thinking grocery store. So yeah, never mind. Shopping center, I was off my list. Okay.
So the Houston Galleria, or just the Galleria, opened in 1970 and is the largest mall in Texas with over 375 stores filling the 4 floors.
Oh, wow.
It's the 9th largest in the U.S. So if you're looking for something to do and you're in Houston, I mean, it's not the Mall of America, but it's the largest mall in all of Texas. So
I love me a good mall. Love me a good mall.
And the last question, the Houston metropolitan area.
Metropolitan, but
yes, metropolitan. I realized as soon as I said that, I was like, you know what? Mm-hmm. That's not right.
You did better with the Hindu temple.
I think that's what it was. I was being a little too literal with my enunciations here. So yes, the that area consists of how many counties? Is it A, 5, B, 7, C, 9, or D, 11?
I'm gonna say 11. Just the most. I'm going for the most.
C, 9.
9. Okay.
That is Austin County, Brazoria, Chambers, Fort Bend, Galveston, Harris, Liberty, Montgomery, and Waller counties.
All right, so not bad. Not bad. I mean,
not bad. I mean, you got what, 2, and you're flirting with the 3rd. You're really close with the populace.
I got one. I got the Hindu temple.
Yes.
And then the populous city I was flirting with. Yeah, and then all right, okay, it was all right. Okay. It was all right. I was in the ballpark. I was
it's the first time of the season. You're just warming up. You're getting
getting used to it, just like these kids are on the field.
All right, so we are talking about the Bayou bucket, Mike. It is now the time of the episode where we ask you, what are your guesses as to what this trophy looks like,
brother? It's a bucket. That's
Is it an old oaken one? I don't know.
Gosh, I feel like it's got to have like some barnacles on it. Probably smells like clam and shrimp. Maybe there's some seaweed on it, some kelp, if you will. A rusted handle. And maybe it's been used for chumming the water. That's what I'm thinking. Like a real salty, briny sumbitch.
Some bitch. All right. Well, we're just going to have to see in just a little bit. So before we get to that unveiling here, let me give you a little bit of information on the history of the rivalry. So the first matchup between the two schools was in 1971, and Houston won 23-21. And the Cougs would go on to win 7 of the first 10 matchups. And overall, Houston leads the series 33 wins to 11 losses.
Not surprising. And the teams have played annually from 1971 all the way to 1995, when they were both members of the Southwest Conference. So the game in 1995, which was an 18-17 Houston win, was the final game in the history of the Southwest Conference, which is a little interesting. The rivalry took a hiatus for about 4 years, for 4 years, and was renewed in 1999, but really gained steam in 2005 when Rice joined Conference USA, which Houston had been a part of since 96. So that was kind of where the hiatus was they ended up in separate conferences after the Southwest Conference disbanded. So the Cougars left the league again in 2013.
to join the American Athletic Conference, the AAC, and that also, because of that, it put the crosstown rivalry on hiatus yet again. The game was played as a non-conference game in 2017 and 2018, and then again in 2021 and 2022. And they are scheduled to play this year. It is going to be this week. And this is potentially the last time for a while because Houston, as we had talked about, just recently joined the Big 12. And with the additional schools that are joining the next year, all these big realignment between all the conferences have put into flux all the different scheduling. So a lot of these conferences don't quite know exactly how many conference games, and that's going to determine some of this non-conference stuff. So
speaking of the Bayou Bengals just went for it on 4th down right outside of FSU's 10, and they got stuffed. Well, misdirection was not fooling who was that? That was the safety or that was the corner coming in. Yeah. Didn't fool the corner, number 38. Don't know his name, but great. And that's how you play. That's good defense right there. That's not letting the trickeration, not letting get lost by your eyes. Stick to your man, make the freaking play. 1st down, Florida State. Love it. Love seeing Jim Kelly's fat face looking so frustrated and confused. I love it. Anyways,
Jim Kelly is somewhere up in Buffalo. Brian Kelly and his family.
Yeah, right. That one. Yep, that one. Yeah. Jim Kelly, all due respect in the world. Oh boy, that's not a play that. Oh well, hey, something nothing there. Way to go, pal. All right. Anyways, back to the other side of the bayou.
Yes. So it is time. Tell us, what are your thoughts of this trophy? Why don't you give the listeners?
Not what I was expecting. Okay, so we got. Oh, this is my type of trophy here. Let me zoom in. Let Daddy get a look at it here. Okay, so this is another one that has those like figurines that you see on like like little kids football trophies. So we got like a wooden base with 4 little like football man, like respect here because I believe that those are tackles. Or they're supposed to be some type of offensive lineman. They're like in their position at the base, 4 of them on each corner of the wooden block base. And then why we have a kicker? We have a kicker then raised up above them, I guess, because both the Houston area really respects special teams. Okay. I mean, could be a wide receiver, could be a quarterback. Don't know why we did a kicker. That's strange. Actually a punter. So these guys, the Houston area must be big fans of McAfee. And then like 4. So we have the wooden base with the 4 linemen and then a smaller wooden box on top of that, which has plaques with the Rice and Houston logos. And then on that smaller box is where the punter, that's where Pat McAfee's sitting. And then 4 taller columns leading up to the Bayou bucket, which it's got some dings in it. It's got some dents. It looks like it has a working handle. It's bronze. We got a nice color on this wood here too. It's like a nice, it's a nice, perhaps cherry. This is a nice looking trophy. This is, when did this, well, I guess we'll figure out when the trophy was created, but yeah, this feels like a trophy that has some history. Yeah. Oh, the second picture is a bunch of old assholes holding the trophy. Bunch of old. I bet these guys are super duper rich. We're super duper rich because they're from Houston. Oh, ashtrays on the table where that's great. That's great. That's nostalgia right there. This is a big boy too. I mean, it's probably 4 feet tall, something like that.
Yeah,
it's good. It's good guts. Yeah, the bucket's got some dings and dents in it. I love it. This is a working man's trophy. This is a good trophy, a good working man's trophy. I love. You got Dana Holgerson holding the trophy down there. I love that. The last picture's got Uncle Dana.
Yeah, we need to talk about that last picture here. But before we get to that one, so also on it has the plaques that have the scores, the winner and loser scores. And there's also a plaque that says the Touchdown Club of Houston presents the Bayou Bucket Trophy to the winner of the football contest between Rice and the University of Houston. I included this Dana Holgerson one because what's he doing with his hand there? I don't remember. Houston having
That's
a hand signal like that, but
well, they're the Cougars. So yeah, it does look like the Shocker, but I believe that's supposed to be a cougar paw. So yeah,
oh
that's
no.
I'm not so up to speed on Houston's culture, but I believe that they is meant to look like the like a cougar paw. So
Wow, LSU here is really looking to lose this game here. I'm not liking it at all.
I am. Are you ahead? Are you ahead of me?
I wasn't, but I think I am now.
I just saw the punt.
Yeah, well.
Oh, yes, 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 yes. All right, there we go. LSU muffed the punt. Oh, I'll love to see it. You are about 30 seconds or so ahead of me. That's
Okay.
oh, that's great stuff. Oh, look at Brian Kelly's fat face. Oh, he's so confused. It's great. Oh yeah, that's
Yeah,
what
I
Daddy
mean,
likes
it's one
to
of those
see.
questions where it's like, it's tough to beat good teams on field goals, but they should very well be up 6 here. And have really moved down the field pretty handily the first 3-4 drives, but can't
Poorly
make
coached
mistakes.
team.
Yeah.
I lay this all at the feet of Brian Kelly. Poor coaching.
Poor coaching.
Not
All right,
enough
so
attention to the detail. That's
let me tell you a little story about this Bayou bucket. Wow, this game. We need to quit recording here. So our story starts
I
here
can't wait to see what happened. It's 1st and 10. Anyways, go ahead.
with Fred Curry, a former player to Rice, who became the president of the Touchdown Club of Houston, which I had mentioned was on the plaque in 1972, and said the blue blood in me wanted to create something unique to drum up interest in this game between the two schools that are only separated by 7 miles. So, I mean, obviously you mentioned Houston's a big area, but these universities are very, very close to each other. So Phil Gemmer, the organization's late president, was on board with the idea and suggested the club look for a trophy similar to the old Oaken bucket presented in the Indiana and Purdue rivalry.
Of course. Why wouldn't you want to model yourself after that old shit bucket? Yeah, there you go.
So we put the Fred Curry on charge of finding a trophy.
I know the exact conversation was like, a bunch of drunk guys at the Touchdown Club. Just come on, man. These bastards up in Indiana, dude, they just got some old bucket. Like, it ain't that hard. Come on. They literally just slapped a bucket as a trophy. We can do it too.
And people love that shit.
Yeah, exactly. It gets the people going.
All right. So both coaches at the time, Houston's Bill Yeoman and Rice's Al Conover, gave their blessings to the idea. So next came the meeting where they decided to get the approval. And then once they identified what they wanted to do, they had to come up with a catchy name. And Curry recalls that the group kicked around 60 to 70 names until they started, 60 or 70 names. They were really trying to figure
where
it out.
they landed on the bucket.
Mm-hmm. No, so they had the I think they had the bucket idea, but they didn't know what to call it.
So 60 to 70 names for a bucket.
Yes, correct.
That's bananas. That's way too that these guys are creative.
He said so they were going around the room for asking for ideas, and of course everyone had a few scotches and beer, and someone asked, what is Houston best known for? And Delano Womack, a former running back at Texas and a board member of that club, said, dirty old bayous. And that's it. So they said, that's it. We'll call it the Bayou bucket.
I love it. This trophy keeps getting better and better. I love it.
So now that they had the name, the next part was finding the bucket. So they knew they wanted a bucket. They knew that the name. So now they actually had to look for it. And I guess they went shopping for a while, and it was kind of hit or miss. But on vacation, Curry's wife, Jan, in the summer of 1974, walked into an antique store in New Braunfels, which is about 50 miles south of Houston. And that's where she saw the brass bucket. And she said it was really pretty, but had dents. It had been around for a while.
Absolutely, it did.
Guess how much they paid for that bucket back in 1974?
A quarter.
A quarter?
Yeah. Well, I guess
like 25 cents.
Yeah. Nickel.
$47.50
For a bucket in 1974? Are you kidding me?
I am not.
What in the world?
What is up with these
Why?
buckets?
Why? Was this also used by like a Civil War? Did Stonewall Jackson like piss in this bucket during the siege of New Orleans? Like, what is going on with this bucket?
Yeah, I don't know. It doesn't give any context if the bucket had any history behind it. It was just a banged up bronze bucket in an antique store, and they decided that was it.
Sweet Christmas, but was it Stonewall Jackson at the?
So once Curry had the bucket, he took it to Buck Sloan, who was a close friend and former Rice player who owned a trophy store in Houston. So he gave him the bucket, and Sloan said, "What do you want me to do with this?" And Curry said, "Make me a trophy." So 10 days later, Curry got the phone call that the Bayou bucket trophy was ready. And his first reaction was, "Could you have made this thing a little gaudier than this?" So I guess Sloan.
It was Andrew Jackson, not Stonewall Jackson. Okay. I screwed up there, but anyways, yep. I knew that. Yeah. Anyways, go ahead. Andrew Jackson was at the Bayou, New Orleans, but sorry. Go ahead.
So basically, once he asked that question, Sloan was just like, "Listen, I didn't know what to do, so I just kept making things and adding things to it, and couldn't stop." So that's how it gets there. So it is the bucket is mounted on a wooden ornate base and stands between 2.5 and 3 feet tall. The scores of all of the meetings are engraved on the two sides, the 4 football players on each corner and the kicker in the middle. And the cost for the mounting, engraving, and fixture was $131.70.
I just saw a commercial with a kid, by the way. He was wearing silly bands. Do kids still wear silly bands? Is that a thing these days? I digress. I have no idea. Totally off topic. But anyways, I also love that this guy was like, just kept adding things. You know, he's like, he's got the, like, just keep slapping them on. You know, give me the 4 linemen. Give me he probably, I don't know if he's, what do you think? Do you think he started with just the punter? And then was like, you know what? Let me add like 4 offensive linemen to it. Like, if so, great call. He was probably trying to find a way to add a 5th one because he's like, well, you got to have 5 down linemen. But
yeah, I mean, I'm just picturing if you were to come to me and give me a bucket and said, make this a football trophy for 2 major universities, I would be like, how the fuck am I going to do this? And so I would probably be adding, it's a bucket, right? Like you said, like nothing screams football more than a literal bucket. So I'm sure he was like, I don't know, do I put 1 football player on here? Do I put multiple ones? I mean,
I love it. He just kept gussing it up till it got to what it was. This your stock is rising trophy. Oh my gosh, this is great.
So I had mentioned the first time these schools played was 1971. However, the bucket was not presented until 1974. So it is a pretty old bucket. And
$7. My goodness gracious.
Yeah, I know.
That's what I want to know more about is why this bucket costs so much money. And it's just so funny too, because his wife found it, right? One of the board members' wives found, or one of the guys from the Touchdown Club. Oh man, you know what that especially. So that was 74. So it was $47. So that's like $100 bucket, but in today's terms, you know, like, so like, just imagine that, like you're at your wife, you're with your wife at like an antique store and she, honey, this is the bucket and it's like, oh yeah, that's great. And you look at $100, even if it was $47, I'd be like $47. And she'd be like, yeah, this is perfect. This is the one you've been looking for. Trust me, it's got all the dings, all the nicks. It's fantastic. This is the one you want. And like, you know, that's how the conversation went, that he was trying to do everything he could. And then he's like, oh, honey, it's just too expensive. Well, fine. I see how it is. I try to help you with something with you and your friends. And this is the kind of thanks I get. Well, then don't ask me for anything going forward. Like, and then, oh no, honey, we'll get the bucket. Oh no, you've said your piece. No, I don't want, don't even get it now. And that just went on and on. And then got the bucket anyways.
So what our listeners don't know is Mike is a frequenter to antique stores with his wife. So this seems to be, feeling like it's rooted in
Oh,
potentially
brother, it's the opposite. It's the opposite. I like the expensive things. And she's like, that's really expensive. And I'm like, yeah, but like you've been wanting this thing. It's actually the exact opposite. I'm like, you've been wanting this thing. And she's like, yeah, but not for that much. And I'm like, but you've been wanting it. Like, this is it. This is the thing that you want. And yeah, but that's too much money. And then I'm like, oh, well, fine. Okay. Well, I'm just going to stop recommending things.
See, I thought you'd appreciate this story, a good antique store story.
Yeah.
You have quite a few
usually
things
it's
from
the
an
other way
antique store.
But yeah.
All right. So that's all I got for the history here of this trophy. Whoa. So why don't we get to here. Sorry. Froze a bit here. Why don't we get to our rankings here? So to give our listeners a reminder here, we rank the trophy on a few different things from a scale from 1 to 5. So the trophy itself, what the looks, 1 to 5, the history of the trophy, 1 to 5, and then the rivalry itself on a scale from 1 to 5, the competitiveness of the rivalry, and then overall which tier we are going to put this in. So, Mike, what are your thoughts?
So looks, it's a 4. It's like right up it's at 4.5. Actually, it's right up my alley. I love trophies like this. This is great. I'm really pleased with it. History, I'm gonna give it a 4. I really like how it came about. These guys and this just being like, you know what, we need something, but stinky old Bayous, the $47 bucket. I deducting a point because I'd like to see a little bit more mischief related to the bucket, some petty theft, some things like that. I'd like to see a little bit more of that. The rivalry itself is like a 1. Just because I don't really have Houston and Rice on the calendar. I don't know many people that do. Obviously they're crosstown rivals, 7 miles apart, but it's just not something that I'm sure if I was from Houston I would put it much higher, but anyone outside the Houston area probably doesn't care. And competitiveness is also 1. Rice just isn't there. Houston's a lot better. Houston's in the Big 12 now. So that gives me a composite score of 0.88. Well, I guess I shouldn't give my composite score because they're going to get put together. But then overall, mid-tier, great looks, solid history, but the actual teams playing, not great. So, Chick-fil-A's doing a honey pepper pimento sandwich. Love that. I'm going to get some of that. Yeah. Pick it up.
All right, so I'm gonna go with a 4 for looks. I agree. I love the bucket itself. I think it's hilarious how they came to deciding the name of it. And the base itself is it's fine. I've seen worse. I've seen better. But yeah, so I'll give it a 4. I'd say the history is about a 3. I agree. I wish there was a lot more history, or at least publicly available. It doesn't mean it doesn't exist, but that there were more, thievery or just overall
shenanigans.
Changes, maybe a little bit more than just like, hey, let's do an old oak and bucket thing again. But it has been around for a long time. And it did have a story, so I'd say it's a solid baseline, solid average,
Mm-hmm.
And then the rivalry, I'm going to give it a 2, just because, and I'm going to plead ignorance because we don't get too many inner city rivalries, right? Because they usually involve really small schools and really big schools. So I think that's the only reason I bumped it. But I agree with you. I think maybe if you're from Houston, it could be really hated, even if it's one-sided. But from our standpoint, it's probably a 1, but I'm going to give it a 2 just because it's inner city and I think across town, and I think that's pretty awesome. And competitiveness is a 1. I mean, Houston's dominated it, clearly have risen, up the ranks of the various conferences, while Rice has not. So overall, I agree with you. I think the rivalry itself is low, but the bucket is too good to keep in a low tier. So I will put it in the middle tier.
Love it. Love it.
So now this is a new segment because neither of us gave it a 5, although you were pretty close. the question is the question is asked, what would you do to change it?
Well, I feel like something just happened in the game, so I have to wait 30 seconds to see what's going to happen. I do have one thing that I would change, and that is, I mean, all due respect to punters, I feel like I'm not being very for the brand here. Oh, son of a,
Yeah,
okay.
you never like to see that.
Yeah.
You're lucky they messed that up.
Yep.
Jump passes don't work, ladies and gentlemen. Back in
No.
your own 2-yard line.
Travis has been watching a little bit too much of Swamp Kings.
Yeah.
So maybe replace the punter. Sorry, Pat. I swear I'm for the brand, but I would like to see what's bothering me is only 4 offensive linemen. So what I'd like to see in the center is a quarterback under center. Like replace the punter and put a quarterback under center there. Perhaps he's like, doing a little point or something like that. So have have a center getting ready to snap the ball and a quarterback, doing something. That's the one thing that I'd like to see to potentially gussy this up a little bit, Okay. That's my one note.
So for me, because this is a tricky thing to ask because I envisioned this segment being like a callback to that old second episode ever of the old Oaken Bucket where you were like, that's the dumbest thing ever to represent a state. So the answer can be, in this case, it's already
a total rewrite. Yeah.
It could be a total rewrite. In this case, I actually kind of like the idea of where they came up with it, and I'm fine with this type of bucket. I agree with you. I think just the base is just a little meh to me, and I don't know why. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know what would make it better. Maybe a little bit more Houston related things. I mean, or maybe like a cougar and an owl. Oh, that could probably be sick because you don't see too many owls. So it's the rice owls if the listeners don't know. So I think that's what it'd be. I think just maybe instead of football players, maybe a little bit more Houston things. Because if you just look at the bucket, you don't necessarily think right off the bat Houston, but maybe if they added something to do with the city.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, I hear it, and I think that there's some of these trophies where I will consider a total rewrite, but given the thought process or lack thereof that went into this, literally they just said they have a bucket, let's have a bucket too.
Yeah,
I just love that. So I'm cool with what they got. Yeah, I'm not too familiar with the Houston area, other than I know they have delicious Tex-Mex.
Yeah, that's the thing that makes it tough to do a full rewrite when we're not as familiar with the area.
Yeah, and just like it's just so, I mean, it's so perfect. It's like kismet, just the way they came up with it. So, that's my only note. I'll change what we have existing on this one, and same thing with like King of Nails.
Sure,
I wouldn't do a full rewrite on that bad boy. So I'm sure we'll get to some this year where we are thinking of a full rewrite. That's for sure.
For sure. Okay, so this game, like I had mentioned, is going to be played this week on NFL Network at 7 p.m. I did watch an NFL Network game because I was betting it. It was Army and the University of Louisiana Monroe, and for the first quarter and a half, they didn't have the running clock on the icon. They had the score and the play clock, but not the running clock. So hopefully the NFL Network fixes that.
Yeah.
And the game is played at Rice Stadium. So it is at that side of the city. So what are your predictions?
Oh, Houston's gonna dog walk them. I mean, that's about as clear as I think it can get. They snuck one past UTSA, huh? They snuck one past the Roadrunners.
Yeah, that was a great game. Both defenses just balled out. That was another game I bet, so I watched the majority of that game. And while I'm gonna say UTSA got screwed a bit at the end, it was like they got screwed. It was 2 minutes left. Houston's trying to run out the clock. It came down to a third down play, and the Houston got a very, very, very generous spot. And that ended the game. So I can't say it's too much of a screw job because then UTSA would have had to have gone down the entire field. You know what I mean? So a lot had to happen. It's not like it was ball in UTSA hands and that ended the game. But anyway, both teams played well.
We're just not calling holding. I guess we're just not calling holding. We're not gonna do that. Okay. All right. That's
and
fine.
yeah, so and Houston played really well. So yeah, I anticipate they look like a really, really good team, or at least defensively. So yeah, I don't anticipate them having.
Oh my God,
any
holding on the
trouble
left guard, holding on the left,
Rice.
like what? Oh boy. Okay. All right.
So that's going to do it for us this week. Follow us on Instagram at whiskers.whiskies, and please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Don't forget to check out our Saturday morning pick'em posts. We're back. And if you're brave enough to take us on, send us your bets for the weekend. And you would only be behind 1 week. So
can't do much worse than us. That's for sure.
It's not too late. Also, please check out our new website, whiskerswhiskies.com, where our college football preview bracket is located, as well as our ultimate sports travel log. So join us next week when we talk about the Victory Bell. For Mike, I'm EJ. Always remember, too much of anything is bad, but too much good whiskey is barely enough.
Cheers, boys.